There are certain places, houses, vehicles, dark roads, whole areas, where restless spirits continue to lead a strange existence, on the border between life and death, between real and imaginary. It manifests itself in strange sounds, whispered dialogues and unusual smells. It frightens us with frightening appearances and sometimes even attacks. A house, a road or an area is said to be haunted when the spirits of the deceased who were dealing with those places make their presence felt. Their deaths were usually violent, whether it was murder, suicide or devastating arson or traffic accidents. But how do we feel when we are dealing with haunted places? A strong feeling that we are being watched and watched. Then the nightmares that don't give us peace. Haunted places or things have always existed, such as James Dean's Porsche 550 Spider, called the Little Bastard, which caused destruction, injury and even death to those who owned it after the actor's disappearance. There is also the well-known story of an American town, Amityville, which was also transposed on film several times, the Amityville Horror. Here, in November 1974, Ronald DeFeo killed all 6 members of his family. More than a year after the events, the Lutz family moved into the haunted house, but left in a hurry after only 28 days, claiming that its members were terrorized by paranormal phenomena. Today we made a list of the most haunted places in the world, the paranormal explanations coming from several sources, some even very serious, so that they can hardly be ignored. 1. Myrtles Plantation, St. Francisville, Louisiana, USA. On the plantation is an old villa, built in 1796 by General David Bradford, which is said to be haunted by several restless spirits. Some researchers claim that more than 10 crimes have been committed here, and others have managed to confirm just one. However, we all agree that this place is strange and easily qualifies as one of the most haunted places. The spirits that could haunt the house are Chloe, a former slave who was hanged here for killing 2 little girls. The ghosts of the 2 little girls killed by Chloe who were seen playing on the porch. William Drew Winter, a lawyer who lived in Myrtles between 1860 and 1871. He was shot on the side porch by a stranger. It is the only confirmed death. The spirits of other slaves who show up occasionally and ask if they can help you with anything. Also the piano in the main room was heard singing, alone, repeating the same note, endlessly. 2. Tower of London, London, Great Britain. The Tower of London is one of the most famous and well-preserved historic buildings in the world, but also one of the most haunted. This is due to the number of executions, murders and tortures that have taken place, throughout history, within its walls. Dozens and dozens of restless spirits were seen around the tower. One winter night in 1957, a guard was disturbed by something hitting the kiosk where he was sitting. When he went outside to see what it was about, he saw a white figure at the top of the tower. It was only then that he realized that on the same day, February 12, Lady Jane Grey had been beheaded in 1554. Perhaps the best-known haunting spirit is that of Anne Boleyn, one of the wives of Henry VIII, who was also beheaded in the tower in 1536. Her ghost has been seen many times, sometimes leading in his own head and his hands. 3. State Penitentiary, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. This prison has become a favorite destination for ghost hunters, but also for the general public. Built in 1829, the impressive Gothic building was originally designed to hold 250 prisoners and separate prisons, but in its heyday, it also housed 1,700 evildoers, who were crammed into single-person cells. Like many places full of suffering, misery and death, the prison is haunted. One of the most famous prisoners was Al Capone himself, imprisoned here in 1929 for illegal possession of a weapon. During his stay, Al Capone is said to have been tormented by the ghost of James Clark, one of his men whom he had killed during the famous Valentine's Day Massacre. 4. The Queen Mary Ship, Long Beach, California, USA. This old ship is quite haunted, as the workers who worked on it claim. Once it roamed the seas, but now it has been turned into a hotel. The most haunted area of the ship is the engine room, where a 17-year-old sailor was crushed while trying to escape a fire. There are also ghosts around the pool, where a little girl broke her neck in an accident. She was seen asking about her mother or a doll. 5. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Louisville, Kentucky, USA. An estimated 63,000 people died in this sanatorium. Opened in 1910. The hospital was built to house patients with tuberculosis, a fairly common disease in the early 20th century. The deaths at the sanatorium were also linked to staff carelessness and even torture, including questionable experiments on them. Here there are a number of paranormal phenomena such as voices of unknown origin, places with low temperatures and inexplicable shadows. There were screams in the abandoned hallways. 6. Whaley House, San Diego, California, USA. The Whaley House has earned the title of the most haunted house in America. Built in 1857 by Thomas Whaley, on a piece of land that had been a cemetery, the house is home to dozens of restless spirits. Among the ghosts that have made their presence felt here is the spirit of a young woman who was accidentally hanged, that of a thief who was beaten to death on the inner stairs, where Whaley's red-haired daughter, who appears, can sometimes be seen. Very realistic, sometimes being confused with a living child. 7. Raynham Hall, Norfolk, England. This area is famous for the spirit of the brown woman, who was captured on film in 1936 in what is considered to be the most authentic images with ghosts. The Brown Lady of Raynham Hall is a ghost that reportedly haunts Raynham Hall in Norfolk, England. It became one of the most famous hauntings in Great Britain when photographers from Country Life magazine claimed to have captured its image. The Brown Lady is so named because of the brown brocade dress it is claimed she wears. 8. White House, Washington, D.C., USA. This house is not only the home of the current U.S. president, but also the home of former presidents who occasionally decide to make their presence known, despite the fact that they are dead. The most common occurrence is that of Abraham Lincoln. Eleanor Roosevelt, the wife of one of the presidents, said she felt his presence as she redecorated Lincoln's room. Also during the Roosevelt administration, a young official says he saw Abraham Lincoln sitting on the edge of the bed and wearing his boots. 9. Gettysburg Battlefield, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, USA. Gettysburg is home to one of the bloodiest battles of the American Civil War. Nearly 8,000 soldiers died here and tens of thousands more were injured. Visitors say they have spoken to many of the dead soldiers' spirits, that there are frequent screams and moans of pain, and sometimes cannon blasts or gunfire. 10. Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, Los Angeles, California, USA. Hotels are known to be among the most haunted places in the world. There are so many tragedies, accidents, suicides and murders here that Stephen King may not have exaggerated anything in the famous book, Shining. Opened in 1927, this hotel is well known for its famous ghosts, Marilyn Monroe and Montgomery Clift. Marilyn was seen in room 229, looking in the mirror, or dancing in the hotel's ballroom. Montgomery haunts room 928, where he lived when he filmed From Here to Eternity, 1953, and can still be heard playing the trumpet.